Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host Jay. I'm here with my co-host Brad.
Hello.
All right, guys, we're back. There is plenty to talk about this week. Yikes!
It's all dumb again. It's very, very stupid once again.
It is. It's not on the docket, but I did enjoy the news that it appears that the Ukrainians sunk a Russian warship. Oh, but it was a storm, guys. It was a storm.
Yeah, no, Jay. It was a storm that took it out at sea. You know, because like weird lightning strikes that look suspiciously like missile blasts, essentially coming down.
I love how they just they can't admit it. They're like,
no, they can't. Even though there's fucking video footage of it, it's insane.
Yeah. No, good for them. Good for them. Look, Russia, keep it up. Keep it up. I did read something interesting or listen to something interesting that today that basically said that the sanctions are so bad right now on Russia that right around the 4th of next month, things should pretty much just tank in a huge way publicly, unless Russia continues to cook the books, which apparently they already are about their financial situation, which is pretty dire. And if they do, it will get that much worse down the road. Like the longer they cook the books, the worse it will get. So, good. Like this is also fine.
I mean, again, it just goes to show you in this day and age, it's going to be quite difficult. I truly think this is going to be quite difficult to ever have like another world war between the superpowers because there's so much warfare. Or I shouldn't say like financial warfare is not new, but it's much more advanced and easy in this day and age.
It's way easier. It's
like back in the day, like financial warfare was very physical. Like it was literal, like, you know, creating blockades, you know, and you know, choking off supply points, stuff like that.
More on that later. Sometimes internally.
It doesn't relate to news stories this week. So, but yeah,
absolutely. It is interesting, like just this idea of. I don't want to dig into this too much because there's plenty to talk about, but like just as an aside on Russia, like apparently there is talk that the Fifth Service, which is Russia's like whole, like this was like Putin's idea, right? Which was have a bunch of like intelligence officers put into former Soviet Union countries and basically be a kind of like a sitting opposition force, right? Like this sitting sort of like Russian nest egg in the middle of like Ukraine or, you know, these other countries. In case shit pops off, you would have this resistance force already there to back Mother Russia, right? And apparently Putin has taken like the people who ran the Fifth Service and put them in like this really notorious jail like recently and basically disbanded all of the Fifth Service people and like arrested them, pulled them back and all this other stuff. And the talk is that the reason this happened is because they had members of the Fifth Service in Ukraine that were supposed to be there ready to activate when the war started, right? So then they would have this built-in resistance force inside the country, which would be incredibly dangerous to the people in Ukraine, right? It's like, holy shit, like all of a sudden you've got all these intelligence officers who have all of this, you know, they got their hands in everything, right? Well, it turns out that these Fifth Service guys were actually lying on their reports. The talk is that they were lying on their reports back to Russia and that they were just pocketing all this money that was being sent to them. right.
So if you build your government around kleptocracy, like you can't be mad when everybody else is partaking. Come on.
Right. So these guys were like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, no, we're spying on the Ukrainians and we got them, Vladimir, don't worry. Because they thought, well, shit's never going to fucking really happen, right? Yeah. So let's just pocket this cash. Well, then the shit popped off in Ukraine and they're like, we don't have anything. Like we haven't armed anybody. We don't have this big resistance force that we told you that we had. And so that's why Russia was like trying to do like drop-offs of supplies in the middle of the country. And you're like, what are you doing? Like that shit doesn't make any sense because they thought that all of this stuff was active, but Putin was being lied to. So now they have kind of completely they can't get a hold of the country because they thought they were making moves under the auspices that they had these forces on the ground, which they did not. Which is why it's like it comes as a shock to Russia that they weren't able to do this super quick.
Yeah.
Surprise, corruption, fish rots from the head, which is hysterical to me.
I would hope that Republicans could take a lesson from this whole emperor has no clothes fiasco, but they're just gonna let that slide right over their heads. So
yeah, that's true. So let's get into it. I'm gonna upfront little show change. We have decided that we're creating a segment for this episode and going forward. This episode is aptly titled, I think. Brad came up with the name, "Bang On or Bullshit." So the idea here is we're going to take one opinion topic or opinion article written this week about something in the news that's relevant to something we're talking about. And we're going to basically determine, like, we'll talk about the article and determine, is this point that this article is making, is that bang on? Is that correct? Or is it bullshit? And this is like completely misguided. So look for that segment later on in this episode. All right. And again, that's going to be this episode and going forward every week. So we will pick the article. You don't have to worry about sending us something. Although that would be kind of fun, right? Like to send us something. But don't always send us like bullshit articles. Like we want to hear like a good opinion on something. Because I think this week's article is actually pretty interesting. So yeah, bang on and bullshit or bullshit, that will be happening later on. All right, so let's jump right into it. RNC officially votes to not defend their non-existent policy platform.
This was completely expected, right?
Yeah. So, this is like right off the bat, this is tied right to last week's conversation about Herschel Walker and our boy Tad, Madison Cadworth, both avoiding debates.
Right? He said Madison Cadworth. It's not his name. It's Madison Cawthorn.
Whatever.
Tad Cadworth has so seeped into
my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever. Madison Cawthorn. Yeah. Whatever.
Taddison Cadworth.
Taddison. He looks like a Tad. I have a hard time remembering that his first name is Madison completely. Like that.
I can't remember if me or Andy came up with that, but it seems so natural.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like he's Tad for me. RNC, so they decide that like they're done with this whole idea of debates, right? So the Republican
they're declaring the presidential debate specifically in this case.
We'll see.
But I'm gonna say I'm sure this will act as an invitation to other office hopefuls who will also follow their lead.
Absolutely. So the RNC voted unanimously on Thursday to withdraw from its participation in the Commission on Presidential Debates, the organization that has long governed general election presidential debates. Now, of course, that I guess doesn't count for primary debates, but just
they run them. Like the RNC runs their own primary debates.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. So in a statement, RNC chairwoman Ronna Romney McDaniel, I'm not going to let you forget it, said that the commission is, quote, biased and has refused to enact simple and common sense reforms to help ensure fair debates, including hosting debates before voting begins and selecting moderators who have never worked for candidates on the debate stage. So, okay, that sounds like kind of reasonable, but like it's the Republican Party. Knock it off. It's not reasonable. Like like when you dig into it, it's not reasonable. They got mad. I'll try to find the guy's name. They got mad because one of the guys who moderated one of the debates worked for Joe Biden 40 years ago. 40 years ago. Like, dude, not 40 months ago, 40 years ago.
I still kind of see their point in that regard, though. Like, I think that's the one reasonable point that they might have.
I think 40 years is like a long time, but okay, like that's fine.
Yeah.
But let's get real. The real reason that, in this article points it out, the real reason they got pissed is because Trump and Biden were muted during a presidential debate.
Yes.
while the other was speaking. And the RNC hated that because they enjoyed the fact that Trump was just speaking over Joe Biden the whole time and not allowing him to finish a sentence. That's the real reason. And also there's a second reason that has nothing to do with Trump, but I'm going to throw this in. They never liked the fact that during that presidential debate, Romney got called the fuck out when he debated Obama. When it was like, actually, when they fact-checked Romney in real time and was like, actually, Obama did say that, they hated that. They hated it, which is a weird thing to hate, that you hated that, like, they didn't make up something that hurt Romney. They just pointed out a thing that he said that wasn't true. Like, that's it. Like, they were like, actually, the quote is this. And he was like, oh.
How cool would it be to have, like, fucking, like, Daniel Dale sitting on the sidelines and then, like after every segment, they'll, like, go to him and we're like, hey, can you fact check in real time? And he's like, sure. Here's all the things that they fucked up.
Bullshit. Yeah, you could call that segment of the debate "Bang on or bullshit." You could also do that. Like, I would be okay with that. Like, I think the debate should be. I think they should be fact checked in real time. Frankly, I don't think a chyron is enough. I think that after a statement is made, I think someone should come up and be like, just so we're clear, X, Y, and Z is not true.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that. And on either side,
or put on a chyron like as they're talking, like that's also fine too.
No, because I want the people in the room to also be aware that this is bullshit, right? Because weirdly there are undecided voters, that are in the room. I think they should be like, okay, or like at the commercial break, right? Like after like 5 questions or something, they take a commercial break. I think in the audience or like, during that commercial break, they should come on and say, hey. Just so we're aware, X, Y, and Z that was said was not actually factually true. This is what actually, or you don't even have to say it's not factually true. You could just be like, this is true, this is true, this is true. Like, just give the truth of the topic. Because I think if you're going to have a democracy, the democracy like relies on the citizens being correctly informed. And basically the RNC is like, it's not fair for them to know when we're lying. Like, that's not an argument, dude. Well, it's an argument. It's a crazy argument.
Well, I also feel like that the other candidate, like maybe their point is like, not the RNC's point, but I guess the point of the debate is like the other candidate should be able to call bullshit on that kind of stuff, which, I feel like they should do a better job of doing, but you can't, it's tricky, right? Because you only have so much time and you can't get bogged down in, a quagmire if you're having to call out what your opponent is blatantly lying about in Trump's case.
Right. Like, how much can Biden talk about what he wants to do if he spends every time he gets 5 minutes correcting everything Trump says? Like,
honestly, I think you're taking their argument in too good a faith, the Republican Party, as far as why they want to bow out of this. I think this is just protection for Trump, honestly. Like, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's just safeguarding in case he's the nominee. Because I'm pretty sure that if anyone but him is the Republican nominee, they're not going to fucking bow out of debates like this. Like, if someone who's actually like a competent debater can get up stage and perform, then they'll let them do that. This is just to safeguard Trump from having to debate when they know that he doesn't want to and they don't want him to.
Yeah, I think that's fairly true. You think they let that slide if it's DeSantis?
50-50. I feel like DeSantis no, I feel like DeSantis would want to debate because I think that DeSantis thinks that he is smarter than he actually is.
I think that's absolutely true.
I don't think that Trump enjoys the debate forum because he does not like to be challenged. He doesn't like to have anyone to have to push back against him.
Yeah. No, I mean Trump would rather have a rally, right? Like,
yes. Oh, very much so.
Right. Like he likes, I mean, that was the one thing that really pissed me off. What was it? MSNBC or NBC?
It was NBC proper. Yeah.
Yeah. They gave him that, like, when he pulled out of that one debate and they were like, all right, well, cool. We'll cover you. You can have a town hall. He was like, fucking rock and roll. It's just, he didn't even barely listen to the questions. It was just basically a stump speech for him. That's what he wants to do. He doesn't want, and look, I get that, right? Like, you just get to fucking spew your shit out, but you got to be challenged on something. Like, you got to, and you have to be able to answer questions that maybe you weren't 100% prepared for, because that's what the job is, right? Like, yeah, sure, there are like things you know are coming, but there's also things you don't know are coming, and you have to be able to.
But you're assuming that I should say you're coming at that from the standpoint that a election is a battle of ideas.
No, it's a popularity contest.
Yeah.
So I think the RNC doing this, I think you're right. I think this will likely give local races the sort of the leeway to be like, I don't think I'm going to come. I don't think I'm going to debate. Like, look, Herschel Walker didn't debate.
God, there's no way fucking Herschel Walker is gonna. Dude,
he's not debating Raphael Warnock. No, he's not. Like, he's not going to debate him, Like, and that's crazy to me. And Georgia should do the same thing they did for John Ossoff. You don't want to debate? No problem, bro. You got 2 hours of Raphael Warnock.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. And the national debates need to be the same way. Like, stop rewarding these guys for not wanting to defend their platform. Make them defend it. Just make them defend it. Like, it's not.
But again, like you're approaching that from the best faith possible scenario. Like for a TV channels, they don't give a shit. It's all about ratings. Like that was the other thing too with the Trump town hall. Yeah. Like the Biden town hall, I could be wrong because I don't remember because it was too long ago. But I think they treated that like a debate where they don't have like commercial breaks and stuff like that because it's fully funded by this commission. But I'm pretty sure they had commercials during the NBC thing. So NBC's like, oh, this would be a great way for us to, sell some ads and get some eyeballs and stuff like that. And when you're not approaching it from, hey, like we are in the business of delivering truth to the people, and this guy didn't want to be challenged, didn't want his ideas to be challenged. So let's not, we shouldn't give him a platform, against Joe Biden. That's the problem, is that they're always going to think with their fucking wallet first and not, not do the altruistic thing. So,
yeah, I think there needs to be an understanding that if you don't do the debate that is set up, then none of the other companies get you on. Like, that's it. Look, you want to do a rally where it's like a local rally and you're just like, I don't want to debate. I'm just going to fucking scream at a bunch of fucking dummies from a stage. That's fine. That's on you. But no other channel should fucking run that shit. None. Mm-hmm. And it needs to be, if you want to if you give a fuck about democracy, if you're a news station, you should care about this. Like, I get making money. That's totally fine. I understand it. Trust me. But in order to save the democracy, you can't give autocrats an ability to never be challenged. Like, why would they ever do debates again? Like, yeah. Like, oh, I'm running against somebody? No debate.
Well, and again,
you're literally you're setting it up that Republicans in general just will never do debates again, and they will always benefit from it.
And that's the thing. Like, if Trump is the nominee and he runs and he wins and he doesn't have to debate, like what Republican ever would in the future ever again at that point? Because you just prove you don't need to.
Yeah, I got my set of ideas. This guy's got a set of ideas.
Yeah,
you love it or leave it, kind of thing. That's a disaster. Yeah. Because look, I mean, I'll play devil's advocate on the other side here, which is it didn't really matter, like, that people already had their minds made up, right? During the Clinton-Trump debate versus, in the Biden-Trump debate. But that's not the point. The point is you should see those two people going head to head, right? You should.
I don't know, man. Like, I think that there's some morons out there who are true, like, swing voters who are really like, man, the last 4 years have been really bad, but Joe Biden's a senile old fool, and I don't know. I really don't know if I should vote for either of these guys. And I do think that for those, whatever small percentage of people that is, I do think those debates were helpful just to see it, like you said, clear as day, side by side with those two, of one person having ideas and a path forward for the country, and an idea to actually get past the coronavirus pandemic, which was still raging strong at the time, and another guy who is an empty vessel of words and was exposed as such again.
Yeah, and look, never forget, like, whatever you think of her, love her or hate her, whatever, Hillary Clinton lit his ass up in those debates.
Oh, she did, but that was also
didn't matter.
It didn't matter because we didn't know like we just assumed like, oh, this will be fine. Like nothing bad's gonna happen if we let this guy in. Like it's gonna be fine. Like the country basically runs itself. And we were all sadly mistaken about that. Not we.
Whoa. Relax. Relax. I did not think that. No.
Yeah.
And I know you definitely didn't either because you have a brain inside your head.
Correct.
Like, we'll just let anybody be president. Like this is a terrible idea. What are you doing? And see,
we let Ronald Reagan do it one time. It worked out okay. Like, did it? I don't know. That's necessarily a true statement.
I mean, it's been pretty fucked since him. So just saying. We have seen a direct decline in this country since 1980. Not a big deal. Sad because that's when I was born, but maybe it's my fault. I don't know. Maybe it's my fault. Pretty sure it's Ronald Reagan's fault. But yeah, it is interesting that they're running so hard and fast from this. Speaking of running hard and fast, math is a terrifying thing, Brad. Just as Republicans in Florida, the Florida Department of Education rejects 54 math textbooks. Math, Brad, not history. Not history, Brad. Math, the language you use to talk to aliens, right? 54 math textbooks citing references to critical race theory. Probably like Tyrone had 5 apples and Tad had 4 apples. Tad has white supremacy. Like
that's
white
the
privilege.
best part is that they didn't apparently they did not list any examples of what references they were
too bad. I have to assume that this is a very obvious reason. White pages, large black digits everywhere. It's terrifying to them. Huge.
Or someone said that Republicans have a huge problem with that equal sign. So any of them that had that in there, they're just like, get that out of here. Get that out of here.
Equal to what? Equal to what, Brad? Equal to what? My God.
I don't understand. I don't understand this at all.
No, your brain works. What the fuck? You're not supposed to understand it. Get out of here.
Can you please bring the examples forward as far as what math textbooks are referring offhand to CRT?
It's gotta be they just had a black kid in an image, right? It's gotta be something crazy.
41% of the textbooks.
Yes.
According to the article.
Yes.
I don't even remember my math textbooks having pictures in them.
Oh no, they did. Elementary school kids. Elementary school stuff here's Johnny, he's got 5 apples, Billy's got 3. Is it like the black kids got more apples and they're like, no, fucking watch. With CRT, I see you. What are you this? You know what this proves? More than anything, besides Florida is full of fucking morons. The Department of Education is full of morons. It proves they quite literally have no idea what critical race theory is. Well, they clearly don't know. And we already knew that, but they clearly.
I best say I don't even think it's worth beleaguering that point anymore because that train sailed a year and a half ago. We've been knew that they don't know what critical race theory actually is, and critical race theory has graduated to one of those terms that Republicans have literally made meaningless through its continued misuse and constant barraging of it on Republican television. So congratulations.
Right. Woke is another one.
Woke's in there. Fucking socialism is a word that doesn't have any real meaning anymore.
Communism, yeah, absolutely.
Communism, I still surprisingly, Republicans don't pull the communism card as often as I would assume that they would.
No, you're being way too nice. You're being way too nice. No, Brad. Groomer is quickly becoming.
It's getting there. Give it a few more months of constant use, and it'll stay on there for sure. I'm trying to think of the other
are you gay?
Terms they really hammered home.
I don't know, economics. They don't really understand that one either. It's really sad that this board said that 54 of the math books out of 132 submitted for review. They incorporate prohibited topics or unsolicited strategies, including CRT. to that, I say, what? Like, what does that even mean? They didn't like some of the elements, I think, that were like Common Core things, right? So that could probably.
I mean, I'm cool with that. Like, I still don't understand Common Core math, but like, there was nothing wrong with the old math. Like, I don't understand.
Listen to Grandpa over here. Why did they change the math? They got letters in it now. This is not on my watch. But yeah, no, Common Core math was like slightly weird. But that's only because like we're old and we're like, yo, just do it this way. And they're like, no, but then gather these numbers this way. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Republicans are right. I hate change. So yeah,
I mean, look, like math was cool for like how many
years? Thousands of years.
They worked perfectly fine. They're like, we have to change the math. I'm like, I feel like algebra still works as it is. Like, I don't understand what you
100% of the time.
There you go. That's one of my few like boomer leanings is that I'm just like, Common Core math. I don't get it. I don't understand. What was wrong with math before?
Back in my day, we added uphill both ways. Like, that's how we did it.
Do you know how many fucking division like things we had to do down the page? Like, it was like like going all the way down. We had to keep going until we had remainders. Damn it.
That's right. We had to show our work. So yeah, like this is
calculators weren't just for playing Snake.
I mean, not just for Snake. No. So like it is really interesting that even math now is coming under this like CRT bullshit. I do want to see what they said, because like I'd love to see I would love to see examples of what they categorize as CRT in math. But I would almost bet it's young people textbooks where it's just like a black kid and a white kid. I guarantee you, dude. I guarantee you it's something so stupid.
I bet that they just picked fucking 40 random textbooks and are like, nah, these are no good. And didn't even fucking look at it. And they're like, why? Like CRT, like the libs are trying to sneak it in everywhere. But we're sitting here batting down the hatches, keeping the kids safe from the critical.
Oh, so you think it's a total PR move?
I think it's bullshit. Like, because I feel like that they would have listed the examples if they had anything like remotely credible. But the fact they're like, no, ban these books, and people are like, what's in them? And they're like, oh, we can't show you. It's that serious. Don't let you see what it is.
I'm not against buying that. Yeah. Like that feels like, considering what's happening this week, which are 100% PR moves that are happening in politics, I wouldn't be surprised. Look, Florida is somehow becoming worse than we often made fun of it before Ron DeSantis. Like, and I get it. He's definitely running for president. He's definitely trying to like get his name out there. And like, oh, look at all these things I've been doing in Florida. Like, I'm banning abortion, like outright, which is also weird and stupid and not obviously constitutional. But he's just trying to get Florida and his name on the map. So I could totally see him and his administration being like, listen, why don't we try to ban some of these math books, and it'll really show that we're like really anti-CRT, which will game up the base. Like, I could totally see that.
Again, though, like
what are you doing?
What are you doing? Like, you have the state. I don't know that this is a fact. I know that it's probably top 3 without looking at any kind of data, that Florida is like one of the biggest like tourism states in the country.
Easily. Yeah.
Like it probably is number 1, honestly. Like, Disney World brings in a whole lot of fucking people from all over the place. Like, not just in this country, but around the world. And like, do you really want to fuck with that? Like, is that something you really want to fuck around with and potentially lose? Because it's not like the tap's going to go dry, but there are a lot of fucking people that aren't going to want to go to fucking Florida and give you assholes money anymore. Like, that's just the fucking breaks.
So number one, by the way, number 1 in tourism is
California.
Times Square, New York.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about New York.
Yep. Yeah, and then you don't get to Florida into like probably number 5, 6.
That's a little surprising. I thought it would be higher.
No, I'm sorry. 7 is Magic Kingdom. Yeah, like it's mostly New York. Like top like 3 or 4 destination spots, man.
Oh, well, see, I'm talking states though. Like, I'm just talking states in general.
Then they'd be number 3, because it's It's New York, Las Vegas, Disney.
Oh, yeah.
More adults.
I mean, literally. So, like, I'm sitting here like, man, in a couple of years, it sure would be cool to go to one of these F1 races. And I'm just like, I really don't want to fucking go to Miami. Like, no. I do not. Like Texas sucks too, but at least Texas, it's in Austin. So, like, it's in the part of Texas that you actually want to be in as much as possible.
I mean, Miami is like pretty cool too. Like I would live in Miami if it weren't in Florida. Like if Miami-Dade became its own state, I would live there. But I'm not living.
But it's Florida. It's in the shit part of Miami because they built the circuit like through the stadium basically.
Nah, no thanks. No thanks.
Yeah.
No thanks.
It's
Although look, I am a sucker for that Formula One commercial they did of them like driving on the highway. I was like, fuck. I want to go so bad. That looks awesome. Oh, it looks great. But I like Florida is a place like I would 100% live if it wasn't Florida. Like if it didn't have the bullshit hyper conservative stigma that it does.
Now, and that's the
and
crazy
it's getting
thing. Like,
worse.
As recently as 6 years ago, it was not that way. Like Trump really fucking was like the bellwether of that state, flipping hard conservative to the point now where they're going to have like a 12-seat difference between Republican and Democratic seats if this DeSantis map goes through, which is insane.
Yep. No, it's done. And look, I'm actually okay with that because Florida has too much like fuckery in Florida, like for it to be the will they, won't they state during a general election. Yeah. Good. Red. It's fine. Can we go to like a state that's actually not run by shitheads? Like that's totally fine. I don't need hanging chads or any of their other.
Yeah, but they're fewer and far between now, man. Like Ohio's almost like pretty much a lost cause at this point.
Yep.
So
yeah, but Georgia's slowly becoming a lock.
Georgia's slowly getting there. Pennsylvania's
North
like
Carolina.
we're fucking hanging on for dear life in PA.
Yeah, North Carolina. Like there's other ones that are changing, right? So
I like North Carolina too. So.
Yeah, that's a place I would live. Like it's got to get a little bit bluer, like a little bit. But like the Raleigh area is like really nice, right? Like that's a place. Mm-hmm. So I don't have a problem with that. So yeah, like that's not bad. It's not bad. Weather's nicer down there. So that's all right. But yeah, apparently Florida hates numbers, guys. Big black digits on white paper. They're terrified. Good. Be scared of math. That's the last holdout for conservatism. Be afraid of math. You dumb fucks.
Like what's the next thing that they're gonna do? Like, are they gonna pull like chocolate milk out of the cafeteria? Are they gonna pull?
Don't fucking tempt them, dude. If they see a white kid be like, I love chocolate milk than regular milk, they'd be like, get it out of here. Get it out of here. Like, we hate this. And also
right,
kids
no hues of black or brown colors in like art class at all. Like you got to get all this out of there because you're promoting CRT.
Yeah, no. I mean, which is wild because like in Florida, like you sure? Like what part of Florida? Because like maybe in Tallahassee you could pull that.
But I'd say the Panhandle seems like where all this has come from. I mean, that's where that's where the capital is. So
yeah, you ain't pulling this shit in South Beach, my man. Like that shit does not work there. So yeah, Florida is ridiculous. Like it's just ridiculous, and Republicans are ruining a otherwise would be a lovely state, but they're fucking that up. So shocking news.
It really is like if you look, it really is the fucking Panhandle that's fucking everything up. Like most of the Florida man story bullshit
that's
that
all
comes
Panhandle,
like
dude.
From there, it's all fucking Panhandle.
Yeah, man. Like.
Fucking, it's like that Alabama stink is creeping over the border. Basically, it just got wafted down there.
Mm-hmm. JTD. Whose fault is this really? But yeah, it's no like Florida that like we fuck with. Like, hey, Miami seems cool. Like, I'd go there and stuff like that. It's just all full of like good looking people of like all shades. That's not Ron DeSantis, Florida. Like, no, hell no. He's just the Panhandle.
I mean, they're also not like voting for Ron DeSantis either. I don't think so.
No, but I don't
remember. Yeah, I'm about to say I don't remember what the breakdown looked like in Miami-Dade last election, but I can't imagine it was too hard in his direction. So
no, absolutely not. Miami-Dade is all us, my friend. Like that's all very blue. Next up, Brad, how good is this news? Slightly disappointing. Slightly disappointing.
Only a little bit. Only a little bit.
But Alex Jones's InfoWars files for bankruptcy in wake of defamation suits over his assertion that the Sandy Hook massacre was a hoax. I mean, who didn't see this coming, right? Pay money? Fuck that. Far-right website InfoWars and two other companies owned by radio host Alex Jones have filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in light of several defamation lawsuits. The Chapter 11 bankruptcy procedures put on hold pending civil litigation while letting a business keep running as it prepares a turnaround plan.
Chapter 7's the one where they're like shutting the doors forever kind of stuff. Like that's what I was kind of hoping for when I first saw this story. So Chapter 11 basically lets them like kind of like waive off their debts and still kind of keep the business running, which is unfortunate.
Right. IW Health, aka InfoWars Health. Sure. If you okay. And Prison Planet TV. These are the other two shows.
Are you surprised that Alex Jones owns a media company called Prison Planet TV?
Oh no, I knew about Prison Planet. I didn't know that was still around.
I don't even know what it is.
So I thought that's like it's like a weirdly like even more extreme kind of thing, or maybe it's all the same now. But like that's been around for a while. I feel like Prison Planet has been around longer than InfoWars.
Oh, so was that like proto InfoWars, and then like once they're like we probably hit this a little too hard. Let's make this more legitimate kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so. InfoWars. Because like if you go to Prison Planet TV, like it takes you to InfoWars. Like what's the hilarious thing is like there's a picture of Alex Jones here like today on the Alex Jones show. Like that picture is like 30 years old. Like he does not look like he's got like a full head of hair. He's arguably 30 to 70 pounds lighter than he currently is. Yeah. So all right. Poor Prison Planet and IW Health. You know, who is getting their health information from these fucking guys? Like,
I mean, the same type of brain damaged idiots that are actually watching the show. Unironically. So
I would love to I'd love to talk to someone from this organization, but I know they're all crazy, right? Like they're clearly all insane. Like you don't work for InfoWars and like not buy into this bullshit, or like either you're an insane person or you're a grifter or both, right? Like, you know, like Alex Jones. But it'd be interesting to talk to them and be like, you really believe this shit? Like for real? Like, let's go get drinks. Like I want to like, let's go get drunk. And like, do you like give them, you know, the drug they gave Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis in True Lies? Like I want the truth. Like, did you really kill people? Like, yes, but they were all bad, right? Like, I like, do you really believe this shit? It'd be interesting to know. Like, I just find it fascinating. I agree. It would be cooler if he was fully filed for Chapter 7. But I mean, it's something. It's something.
Yeah, it is something. It's gonna make it hard for him to get additional financiers. Hard to get money coming in. He's really going to have to fucking, you know, really start selling the supplements, man.
Look,
like we have fucking like get those combat wipes listed back on the site again, or whatever the fuck they are.
InfoWars says it's filing in the filing that it has assets of $0 to $50,000 and liabilities from $1 million to $10 million. I'm not sure I'm buying that.
Yeah.
Separately, a judge has ruled that Jones get back $75,000 in fines he paid to a Connecticut court for failing to appear at a deposition late or last month in a lawsuit of the same nature. No, don't give this guy anything. Fuck Alex Jones, dude. Fuck Alex Jones. Alex, if you want to come on the show, we'd love to have you on.
Would we? I don't know if that would be as much fun as you think it would be.
Oh, it would be. It'd be something. Fun, no. It'd be something.
But to say, would you really want to like talk to him like in character? Like, I feel like that at some point you would just kick him out of the fucking chat.
Yeah, that's probably true. I would, just curse words just sprinkled everywhere. You're a fucking idiot. Yada, yada, yada. But it'd be interesting to talk to him out of character. Like that would be interesting. Of course, you'll never get that. Again, whatever that drug was they were injecting Arnold Schwarzenegger with, like, I would just love to, because we all know he doesn't believe this shit. Like, we know it. Like, by all accounts, early on in InfoWars, people who knew him were like, yeah, we talked to Alex Jones. He's like, I don't believe any of this. And then he'd go on air and be like, he would pretend that all of this shit was true. And then he just started buying into it because he got bigger and bigger. So he couldn't tell people anymore that it was bullshit. Like, yeah, he doesn't believe any of it.
It's really hard for me sometimes to see the line with certain people. Like there's certain people like Tucker Carlson where I know Tucker Carlson is full of shit. And like half the shit that he says, I know he doesn't believe, even though like, I think that his like right-wing tendencies are real. Like a lot of the fucking bullshit that he parrots is obvious bullshit. But like someone like Hannity, just to stay in the same network, I feel like is more of a true believer, but he's also not nearly as extreme as Tucker Carlson is.
I think Sean Hannity absolutely believes what he says. Absolutely. Yeah. But it's easier to understand it because, like you said, he's not as extreme. Like Tucker Carlson saying a wild, like, Victor Orban is he should be president of the United States. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about, right? Like, you can't possibly believe that without being a complete lunatic. And Tucker Carlson is not a lunatic. Like, he knows what his base is. He knows how to beef up fucking bullshit arguments to them and get them watching and tweeting out his shit. But Hannity is far more reasonable. That sounds weird to say out loud, but no, he's a true believer, dude. Like, I think Hannity's like, absolutely, this is real, which is weird to me. The question is, does Tucker Carlson believe shit that Hannity says? Right? Like, is he?
I don't think they like each other, honestly.
That feels correct. Like, that feels correct. But what I'm saying is, like, the level of shit that Hannity says. Like, is Tucker Carlson's level of true belief, like, does it hit Hannity and everything above that is bullshit? Or does he not believe any of it? Right? Like, he's just
I feel like he's got to believe some of it. You know what I mean? Like unless he is just the most morally bereft person on the planet and like is completely in it just for the fucking dollars.
I mean, Brad, does that seem that crazy as you say it out loud?
He's already rich. Like, it's not like he was hurting.
Yeah, but notoriety.
I guess. I don't know. It's hard to say. To bring it back though, like Alex Jones, I feel like sits somewhere in between. Like, I feel like he definitely turns the dial up to 11. But I definitely think there is some belief there.
Yeah.
For most of the shit that he talks about.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I hope so. I hope so. Like I think all the shit they say is reprehensible, but I hope you believe some of it. Like, otherwise, it's somehow worse if you don't believe it, right?
The thing that just weirds me out is that all these like assholes that have these authoritarian tendencies try to warp this back into like, oh, like this is real America. And I'm just like, this is literally like the opposite of of like what we've all been brought up to believe that the country fucking is. Not to say that, you know, we've certainly not lived up to the real capital, you know, small d democracy thing and, you know, the entire history of the country.
No,
but
we have not.
Certainly, like we've never like leaned full on into autocracy at any point.
Yeah, but we're on our way.
We are on the way. Well, maybe we'll see.
Vote, people, vote, please. One last chance. All right, next up, poor Alex Jones. Hopefully, he'll be okay. Bang on or bullshit.
Yeah.
Our new segment. Holy shit. We're here now. So this is a super interesting article. The title for this article, or I'll give the title and then we'll talk about the premise, but I think you could probably get it from the title. Quote, a conviction would puncture Trump's personality cult, predicts authoritarian expert. So this authoritarian expert, Ruth Ben Guyette, told Politico, and I would ask you to like search her name, last name Ben Ben dash Ghiat, first name Ruth, and then just search Politico. It just came up like 2 days ago, so you could find it's an interview between her and someone in Politico, and she talks about this, and she's talking about how the idea is, with like Berlusconi, where like Silvio Berlusconi, he was an authoritarian, and it took like an actual conviction, like a successful conviction of him in court for people to go, done with that guy, right? Like, because he had a hardcore base where people were just like, no, Berlusconi is awesome. That guy can't do any wrong. And then when he got convicted, everyone was like just scattered like cockroaches when the lights come on. They were like, fuck this. No interest in this guy at all. And that's what really took him down, right? And she seems to think that same thing would happen with Trump if he is successfully convicted. What say you, Brad?
I think it's kind of bullshit in this case, honestly.
Damn. Okay.
I think it's bullshit. And here's why. So with the Berlusconi incident, I don't know too much about that history there, but in order for this to apply to Trump equally, you'd have to believe that the conviction was legitimate. And I don't think that his supporters ever would.
Okay.
Now, the thing is, though, is that she does talk later in the interview about how she's kind of more referring to his financial, like his backers, like the money behind his operation and the people in power who support him. And I think she is bang on about that. I think in that regard, she is correct that if he were to go to jail, people who consider themselves serious people, I'm not talking about like your Bannons and Roger Stones and shit like that, but people who are serious in the Republican Party who are funding him because they think he's their best chance of winning, absolutely would bail on him. But I think that you'd still have a very healthy sect of crazy folks who would still throw money at him. And I think that his supporters in the body politic would not abandon him because they would look at this as a deep state operation, masterminded to take down their beloved leader from, on, pardon the pun, but trumped up charges, just to get him out of the fucking spotlight.
Right. So I am of the opinion to agree with you. I think her heart and her history is in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you know America very well at all. I think
not in this case.
I think American Republicans are a different breed, and I don't know Italian. I don't know Italian like political sort of like machinations. I just don't. But I know American Republicanism, and I know that these guys. She's right to use the word personality cult. It's a cult. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I know about cults, not just in political standpoints, but cults in general, is it takes a lot to take down a leader, man. It takes a lot. And there are people who believe in their leaders from cults to this day that have been taken down. And I think what you said is absolutely correct, is that it would be seen in, like, looking at the political climate, anyone who goes after Trump is considered a deep state operative. They are anti-democratic or whatever bullshit the Republican Party pushes. The Republican Party would have to fully abandon him in order for her theory to work. It's never going to happen.
No.
Because their future, as they see it, relies on him. So why would they abandon something that they need to survive through their eyes? I think, incidentally, I don't think they need him. I think they would do better to toss him in the long term, but in the short term, they toss him, they're fucked, which is why they're not.
I mean, case in point. So like there's a pretty contentious Republican primary going on in Ohio right now. And the two like main guys that were considered the front runners for Trump's endorsement were Josh Mandel, a fucking dweeb who is going full fucking MAGA, and JD Vance, a dude who's just doing it for the fucking grift, for the money, because apparently like this is a guy who was like very like a never Trumper, back in 2016 that all of a sudden has like Peter Thiel money funding him. So now he's like full in, with the whole movement and shit like that. Trump endorses JD Vance, which maybe was a bit of a surprise. And Josh Mandel's reaction to that was, well, he's like, I'm disappointed. He's like, but I'm just going to work that much harder to show Trump, that, I'm the right guy for Ohio. And I look forward to earning his endorsement for the general election against Tim Ryan. Like that was his fucking reaction to like, bowing down at the altar and getting fucking spat on by God. And then he's like, clearly it's my fault that this is a problem here.
I don't get it. I just do not understand.
Well, you don't get it because, and I was thinking, I actually had this thought today because I drove by a fucking pickup truck that had this giant, like fucking 5-foot American flag blowing on one side of the truck bed and a 5-foot fucking Trump flag on the other side of the Trump bed. And the first thing I thought
as you do.
The first thing I thought was like, man, I hope this guy's fucking gas mileage fucking sucks right now. He's dragging those fucking flags behind him, and it probably does. But the second thing I thought is just like, before Trump, I truly never saw any politician have this level of like celebrity in his followers. Like most people, like most politicians that you see, you'd see like, what would you see? You'd see maybe during the elections, you'd see the sign in the yard. You might see like the campaign bumper sticker on the car or something like that. Like that. And that was generally as far as went. Maybe occasionally you'd see like the campaign t-shirt later on down the road. But it wasn't like people weren't like, even with Obama, like people were not like deifying him, for lack of a better term, to the extent that Trump did. And one of the, I can't remember who put this tweet out, but like
I push back a little bit on that with Obama, and because I know conservatives would be like, no, everybody was like, Obama, he's the chosen one, and all this other shit, right? Like there was a lot of that and that sort of weirdness and like songs made about him. But I would push back and say that like some people did kind of like weirdly deify him, but I would push back even on that own pushback by saying this: it sucks living in a nuanced world, but it's because he was the first black president, right? Like that mattered a lot. Like if he was just the 12th black president, people would be like, yeah, I like that guy, and he'd be like a run of the mill guy. But because he was the first black president, he was treated very differently because black folks and liberally minded people who were like, yeah, black people can also be president, were like, yo, this is a real chance. Like, this is a real chance. And it's a guy we like. And that was different. But Trump is just a general white guy that they were just like, they fawned over. So continue your point. Well, so I push back to my own pushback there.
I'm going to push back on you there. Like, I don't remember ever seeing like Obama flags hanging off the houses. Way too much pushback here. This is way too much. I don't remember seeing Obama flags hanging from people's front door in 2010.
No, black people don't do that. Black people don't do that. Like we don't do that.
And like the thing that I thought of, and I don't remember who said the tweet, but like after Biden won, people were like, all right, Joe Biden's president. Now watch me not wear his fucking name on my hat for the next 4 years like a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? Like that.
We're
like
not
that
sycophants.
Right. Because and that's the part that I don't get. And that's why I think it's harder for this breakaway to happen. Like if Trump were to go to jail, and she even alludes to this in the article, she's like, I don't think you'll see a civil war. She's like, but you would see political violence. And absolutely his fucking people would take to the streets. And 100%. Part of the reason why is because they think they can get away with it. Because they saw what happened with Kyle Rittenhouse. And Kyle Rittenhouse got off. And so they're like, well.
And January 6th.
Yeah.
So look, I think the I don't want to throw the rubber stamp of like bullshit, but I'm somewhere. I think she's correct in her like in her general notion, but I don't think she recognizes like the absurdity that is the Republican Party at this point. The full absurdity.
Well, and that's the thing is that if you're leaning on history as a guide to be like, oh, this is how things will go. I don't think that at least in this country, and because it's never happened in this country, it's gonna be very different because this country is very unique compared to a lot of major developed nations across the world in terms of, and we're still relatively young as well. Like a lot of the growing pains that governments went through throughout the years happened, a long time ago, or happened, really hit off in like the 1700s or 1800s in Europe. And we really haven't had to endure that much here, save for the Civil War, which was a war fought over a very specific issue. And that also had really 80 years of like boiling to the surface because there was contention between the North and South in the United States from the signing, from the ratification of the Constitution. Like from that point and onward, that was kind of like to a boiling point. But we haven't seen anything this nuanced or this intermingled of a dispute in this country,
right,
to this point.
Yeah, it's an interesting article. Like it's an interesting article. You should read the article that we linked in the show notes, but you should also go to Politico and read the interview because it's not all about that, but it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I read the full interview, and she does make a more point than just like right now is just too deep in the Republican Party as it's currently constituted, and I think that and the point being that there are people to take his mantle if he were to go away, be it through force or just wanting to leave the scene.
Right. So check that out. So there you go. There's the first your first iteration of Bang On or Bullshit, which is somewhere in the middle. But we'll try to. I'm gonna try to do like an animated stamp, like boom, like bullshit, right? Maybe not across our faces because I don't need that to get clipped out, and then someone's like, "Yeah, there you go," like, I don't know, that probably hurt us like that. Like if you get any level of popularity, people are just like, let's use this gift every time to talk about these. So yeah, there you go. Next up, speaking of bullshit, Gregg Abbott decided that he was just going to single-handedly fuck the United States supply chain coming out of Mexico. Gregg Abbott, governor of Texas, ordered for truck inspectors to do like basically double checks of trucks leaving and entering the United States from Mexico, in and out of Mexico into Texas, thus causing massive traffic jams and basically costing 2 days before this show is being recorded, costing the United States $240 million in rotting fruit alone.
Mm-hmm.
Because the trucks are standing in these massive lines that you can't even see the end of. And they're bringing produce from Mexico into the United States, and it's just all rotting in the trucks. Cool.
Here's my question. What the fuck should Gregg Abbott have to do with anything with this? If you're inspecting stuff coming across the border into the United States, I would think that would be like a customs and border protection thing.
Yeah, you would think it'd be a federal issue.
Which is a federal institution. Like I don't understand what the states would have to do in any regard unless he was like re-inspecting stuff after customs did. Which is what I'm assuming he did.
Yeah. He says these inspections are needed to combat drug smuggling and human trafficking. He doesn't give a fuck about any of that.
Nope.
But critics from Mexico to the White House say that it's unnecessary PR stunt, bingo, that's causing very real problems for businesses and consumers on both sides of the border. And protests are making their situation even worse. Look, the reality here is Gregg Abbott is trying to fuck over the supply chain to make inflation worse so that then Republicans can blame Democrats and Joe Biden specifically. It is amazing to me that this country and our news organizations are set up in a way that this works.
Mm-hmm.
That a Republican can purposely fuck over the supply chain, can cause hundreds of millions of dollars in damage, can, hold up people getting their medicine, food, all this other shit. And the argument will always fall back, well, what could Joe Biden have done better than this? Like, well, inflation's pretty bad. Like, he's doing this because he knows how shitty the reporting is on Republican fuckery. That's why he's doing it, right?
Yeah.
Like he's up for re-election soon.
Well,
Like,
and it's also not
afraid.
only are the news organizations not apt to the task of covering this stuff, but again, the knowledge gap of your basic voter, like the average person in this country probably doesn't understand the core concepts of federalism.
Exactly. No.
And that's a fucking problem. Like they have such a myopic view of like, oh, well, surely the president can do everything. And like, it's sure, like for me, myself personally, like I am totally for a stronger federal government and the federal government having much more control over the levers of power rather than leaving shit to the states.
Yes.
But that's just not how we're set up right now.
Yeah. I hate this guy, dude. Like, I hate this guy because this is such a bullshit move, right?
Yeah.
And it'll work for Republicans. Like, oh, see how like we couldn't get any avocados were $5 in Texas. Like, dude, they were $5 because of this asshole that you voted for.
Yeah. Again, this is literally no different at all than Trump instituting his bullshit tariffs to supposedly combat China economically.
Yep, absolutely.
That disproportionately impacted people in the Midwest and farmers and things of that nature that hurt their bottom lines. And these fucking assholes still came out in droves and fucking voted for him because the Republican Party literally pays no political consequences for doing any fucking stupid thing in the entire world. Now, it doesn't hurt that, the welfare kings in the Midwest were still able to get their fucking farm money bailouts from the government. Like, no problem there. Like, we got all the money in the world to bail out fucking white farmers, but God forbid, people of color in the cities need, government assistance. All of a sudden that's terrible. But like I said, the welfare kings in the Midwest, they can always have their share of the pie. No problem. But Trump directly called.
Hey, Biden tried to help black farmers. What happened? Like, Republicans fucking the CRT. Yeah. Like they just make up shit in order to try to stop it. Like, that's classic bullshit.
So again, like Abbott is just doing what Trump did previously. Like they're running essentially the same play in some regards, and he's not going to have to pay a consequence for it. Like Greg Abbott will probably win the Republican primary. I don't even know like what's going on as far as the Republican primary goes. I know that there was talk that he was going to have people running against him. I haven't heard of too many people running against him in Texas.
In the primary?
Yeah.
I
his lieutenant governor was talking about running against him, but I haven't seen much of that lately.
Yo, that's a wild move.
I mean, Dan Patrick sucks worse than Greg Abbott, I think, if it's possible. So I don't know that we necessarily want him there as well. But he's probably going to win. Like, he's probably going to easily, maybe not super easily, but like he's probably going to beat Beto O'Rourke, even though Beto O'Rourke would be objectively better for the state of Texas.
No, it's not even a question. Not even a question. Yeah. I mean, come on. Nobody represents Whataburger better than Beto O'Rourke.
I'm just saying, just from the standpoint of having a competent executive.
He wouldn't do shit. Right? Like, look, you don't even have to be a Democrat to be a competent politician as governor in Texas. How about you just not fuck up the supply chain for a PR event?
Yeah. This is how about after a fucking catastrophe happened in your state a couple of years ago, I don't know, shore up your power grid that seems to be disconnected from the rest of the country for some fucking reason. Maybe that might be a good idea, Greg.
No, but that's like, you're questioning freedom at that point, Brad. I mean,
fucking wheel your ass over to the power station. Let's get that shit going. Come on.
Nah, man. No, look, they got freedom to freeze to death in a Texas winter. Like that's true freedom. Freedom to not make good choices based on
cool. Then make sure Greg Abbott is forced to use a manual wheelchair and get his electric shit out of there if he doesn't want to fucking do anything about the power grid. How about that?
Well, he's got freedom to get fucking swole ass arms from fucking moving.
That's right.
Fuck that guy, dude. God. Like, are we at the hour mark? Yeah, fuck that guy. That tree should have fallen on him. Two trees should have fallen on that guy. Fuck that guy. I just want to check the time. I
just want to point out that last week you asked if we were past the hour mark and we were not, and you ended up putting in the fucking rants and shit that you said about. I can't remember about what at this point, but it was.
Did I just leave it in the free side anyway?
Yeah, you did.
That feels like something I would do. I don't remember what it is, but that feels about right. That it is who I am. Look, you can't change your nature. So just like that oak tree couldn't. So anyway, Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.